Hello to you all. My name is Johanna Hellström and I work for the city of Helsinki as an environmental policy planner, which means that I am mainly responsible for environmental management, reporting, policy, climate issues, SDG. And I will now try to give you a short presentation about how we have activated our city employees, but also our businesses and our citizens to work with us in our climate work. So I will now try to share my screen. And can you please tell me if you can see my presentation? Good. Okay, so let's start. I try to be a bit faster than I was in the first workshop so that we have enough time to discuss about the issue and you have time to ask questions or comments to my presentation. So I will start by telling you what are the Helsinki residents worried about. We had this survey conducted in 2 years from now, and I have to say that I was in a way positively surprised that the climate change worries the Helsinki residents this much. And I think this was a clear sign also for the city that the city really has to take the focus on this and start really acting with this. We had already in the late 2017 written to our current city strategy that Helsinki takes its responsibility for the mitigation of climate change seriously. And before this period, we had the carbon neutrality goal by 2050. And now we took 15 years out of it, and our current carbon neutrality goal is by 2035. From here, you can see that we are on the right track, but we really need to speed up. We have used 30 years in order to reduce our emissions, total emissions by 30%. So there's a lot to do, and we really need to speed up with that work. But to this beginning of this workshop, I will show you a very short video of our action plan and how we see the roles of businesses and residents in Helsinki.
Climate change threatens our way of life. Every major city is expected to offer its own solution to tackle it. But Helsinki doesn't have one. It's no secret that 53% of Helsinki's district heat is still powered by coal. Maybe that's why 66% of our residents are worried about climate change. That's even more than people are worried about the threat of terrorism and unemployment combined. But don't worry. We're getting rid of this by 2029. And that's not all. We're cutting back on meat and dairy consumption, going electric. And while the seasons may not always be on our side, we're trying to make cycling such an attractive option that you won't even remember you own a car. We've created a roadmap for Helsinki to be carbon neutral by 2035, one with concrete steps to actually get there too. And when we say we mean the 50,000 companies and over 650,000 citizens who bring the plan to life. We want to reduce emissions, innovate new ways for smart and clean growth, and make a sustainable lifestyle easy for not just anyone, but everyone to achieve. So no, Helsinki doesn't have just one solution to climate change. We have 147.
So we have the carbon neutrality target, and then we made this action plan, and we also have pretty thorough calculations behind the action plan so that we can really say that there is a possibility for us to become carbon neutral by 2035. We have quite many actions in the action plan, and we have to think that how do we keep track on all of those. And we developed a Helsinki Climate Watch because we think that the transparency is very important in climate work and in everything that the city does. So we created an open source platform where anyone can track how we are doing in our 147 carbon neutral Helsinki actions. And people can also find the contact persons for each actions from those pages. It's currently only published in Finnish, but we have plans to at least translate a part of it in English. And this has been very, this is something that has interests a lot of other cities, a lot of other organizations, and there are a lot of cities in Finland that are now taking the same idea into practice in their climate work or environmental work. But then I think this was the main question from Alan to me when he asked if I could have this workshop. And how do employees find their own role in this work? Because the climate issue is so big, and it's easily very hard for you to realize that what is it that you have to do. And Helsinki City is a very big organization. It's the biggest employer in Finland. There's almost 40,000 people working for the city. So it can be hard to find your own role in so big organization. I will start with eco-support activity. This is an activity that we developed in a few EU-funded projects almost 15 years ago, and it's still going strong. The idea is that we train eco-support persons to all the different divisions and units inside the city organization, and their work is to promote an environmentally responsible operating culture in their own work community by guiding and supporting their own colleagues. And they don't have to have any previous experience in environmental management. We have a 2-day training that is free for all the city employees, where we will give them all the information they need in order to become an eco-support person. And they perform their duties in addition to their own work. And we have given an indicative recommendation that they should have 1 day a month for this work. And what is the most important for this activity to be successful is that they have the support of the management, and the entire organization is committed to promoting environmental responsibility. And the 2-day training isn't the only thing to support them. We also organize other trainings. We organize networking meetings. We send newsletters every month. We have a guidebook for eco-supporters, social media sites, and then we have different kind of material that they can get from us. For example, you can see those stickers here on this slide. Environmental issues and climate issues are very strongly integrated also into the activities and teaching in our kindergartens and schools in Helsinki. In kindergartens, they have this kettu education method. Kettu is a Finnish word for fox. So the idea is that they have this fox character with whom the children can adventure, explore, wonder, realize, create visions, and learn practical skills. And we have written to our city strategy that the whole city is a learning environment. So our classes and kindergarten groups really use the city in their teaching. So they do a lot of trips around the city. For the schools, we have a goal that all the schools would have an environmental program in the future. Most of them already have, but not all. And we have developed the cooperation inside the schools because we have teachers come from different divisions than, for example, kitchen staff or janitors. So we have created these cooperation groups to schools so that we can ensure that environmental issues are taken into account in all schools' activities. Schools also have environmental agents, which are the children's. So there are representatives of each grade, and normally they have an eco support teacher that is leading their team, and they are together deciding what kind of environmental actions they are doing in their schools, and the children are doing those together. Now that we got the action plan for the carbon neutral Helsinki, the school division is also planning a carbon neutral Helsinki course that would be for all the high school students, but this is just in the planning phase. Then we have a lot of city employees who are not necessarily teachers or eco supporters, who are very interested in the city climate work. And for them, we have created this Helsinki Climate Network that mainly works on Facebook. And it's open for all the employees and trustees of the city of Helsinki. And the idea is that the members are open-minded. They want to share knowledge and expertise with one another. They want to develop the cooperation between city organizations. This is very vital for us because we have such a big organization that we really need to work together. And they also want to spar with each other and receive a peer support on this matter. And before COVID-19, the Climate Network was meeting several times a year face-to-face. Nowadays, we are meeting on Teams. But then we have the eco supporters, we have the people in network, but it's basically because they are interested in environmental and climate issues, and not all people are. So we have realized in our own division, I'm working in this urban environment division, which is the technical division, and which is also mainly responsible of most of the actions in the action plan. And that's why our division has really invested in training its employees. We realize that not everybody is interested on their own, but they still have a very big role in the city's climate work. So we have an own internal training organization that plans and organizes internal trainings. And I have two good examples from last year. The organization is called KYMP Academy. The KYMP comes from the Finnish words for Urban Environment Division. And we organized two very big trainings to two of our most essential parts of the organization when discussing climate issues. And they are land use and city structure, MACA, and buildings and public areas, RYA. And I really loved the names of the trainings. They were called MACA Loves Climate and RYA Loves Climate. And I attended the other training, and I have to say that I was so positively surprised how lively discussion it created among those employees when they were able to speak about the city's climate targets, the actual actions, and their own everyday work at the same time. And I really think that these trainings opened their eyes to see what could be their role in this work. Then a few words about local businesses and residents. before we start discussing. We actually yesterday morning had the signing event where we got 8 more climate partners for our network. So we have a climate partners network between the city of Helsinki and local businesses. And it's meant for companies that want to take part in making Helsinki a carbon neutral city. And the objectives of climate partners is to create new operating methods, new business opportunities, increase new and innovative ways of cooperation between the city and businesses, but also between the businesses, and share knowledge of the best practices. And when signing the contract, we ask them to define their own goals in mitigating climate change. And it has to be something that improves the current situation and exceeds the current legislative requirements. And we see that this network, it's both very important to the city, because we realize that only 10% of the emissions from the whole area of the city of Helsinki come from the city organization. So we need we need a working cooperation with businesses and other actors that work or act inside the city borders. Then about the citizens, we have now decided to start working with participatory budgeting, and we have had 1 round already, and now are going through the 2nd round. And the idea is that we are giving annually a sum of around 4.4 million euros for the citizens to decide where to be used. And after the 1st round, we realized that a year is so short time that we need more time for implementing those plans. So now we have given the residents 8.8 million euros for the 2 years, and they can decide where to use those. The money is divided between the major districts according to the population, and anyone can make proposals how the money should be used. There are some criteria how much it can cost, and it has to, of course, be something that the city is responsible for. But the proposals can come from anyone, and all the realizable plans, they are of course gone through with the city employees, that we can make sure that they are the kind of plans that we can actually fulfill. They are then put up for a vote, and anyone who turns 12 during the voting year are eligible to vote. And during the 1st round, the voting was a success. Almost 8% of the citizens voted, which is a very high percentage of in this kind of voting. There were almost 300 plans to be voted, and 44 were voted for implementation, and almost all of them have been already done. Can't be done during the winter time, so they have to wait until the next spring. But this has been a big success in Helsinki. But I will stop here and start the discussion. So if you have any questions, you can either ask in the chat, or then please just open your mic and ask them on the screen, please.
Johanna, when you were creating the actual, was it completely top down, or was there much bottom up kind of discussion? So was there participatory democratic participation by the citizens and other people in creating the actual plan and all the actions was 140% or something.
7, yeah. We actually had several workshops where anyone was able to attend. So we had other cities, we had the companies that the city owns, we had ordinary residents, we had some NGOs taking part in our workshops. And then we also had the action plan in the internet, so that anyone was able to comment on it and give new suggestions what kind of actions we should have in the action plan. And yeah, so we tried to participate those different actors, so that it wouldn't be just something that the city employees have decided on. And then we also had a pretty large round of I'm losing a word, but we asked in a way opinion from a very big portion of different kind of businesses, local businesses, some NGOs, for example. So we sent our ideas for the action plan, and they gave us their opinion and some ideas how we could improve it in their view. Yeah. But we see, like I said in the beginning, we see that the transparency is vital in the climate work, and we also see that when saying that we want to be carbon neutral by 2035, we really need to have the calculation so that we can prove that that is something that we can actually do if we decide to fulfill all the actions in the actions plan. And we of course realize that there are still 15 more years until our target year, so we also have to update. The technique is developing, and we have more knowledge. So we have to update and see if there are even some actions that would have even more or bigger potential for emission reductions. Yeah. Alison, are you saying something? I think you are muted.
Yeah, no, I was just saying that Elspeth has put a question in the chat that I'm not sure you saw.
Which of the 147 actions have been most successful to date, and what level of impact? I can hear and see. Okay. I think the most effective action would be an action called the energy renaissance. And it means that for the next 3 years, we will get 1 million euros per year, and we will hire up to 10 experts to the city, and their task will be contacting housing companies owned by privately owned housing companies, because we know that the potential for energy efficiency is huge in the buildings built in for example, in the 60s, 70s, 80s. And because there's a democracy in the Finnish housing companies, all the people living or owning the apartments in one building, for example, have one vote when voting for something. And we can have housing companies or buildings that there are no environmental or energy experts living. So we have discovered that the biggest obstacle for buildings or housing companies to start energy renovations, for example, is the lack of knowledge. And through this Energy Renaissance program, which is one of the actions in the action plan, we try to get in contact with those companies and really boost up the energy efficiency in the old buildings. and also try, of course, to create new businesses for small companies, so that there's more need for energy renovations. I would say that that is the most successful, and the fact that we have now been granted those 3 million euros for the next 3 years was a very good decision.
So you must have incentives then for people to retrofit their existing houses, just that people aren't taking it up at the moment. Some people aren't persuaded.
Yeah, I think we try to help the housing companies in order to find bias. What is this bias? Non-bias experts, to tell the housing companies that if they, for example, decide to take this or this kind of renovation, how much would it cost? How much would it take for them to pay back for the renovation? How much would they save after they have paid for the renovation? And we just, because we see that the lack of knowledge is the biggest problem. So we see that by actually contacting those and going to their meetings and giving them an unbiased information is the key to this problem.
So, Johanna, I was interested in your participatory budgeting. Do you find that has really helped enthuse people and make them feel as if they've got some stake in creating this new environment? And what kind of actions have actually been voted successful? You know, what are the successful projects?
Well, the fact that anyone can give the propositions and everybody who is 12 or more can vote is shown by, for example, trampoline parks or skating parks. But we also have, for example, benches to some parks for elderly people. We have some places where people can do gardening together. They can grow vegetables or herbs or some kind of something like that. We have piers where people can go swimming. Just to mention a few examples. So yes, I really think that the people have taken this very seriously, and they really realize that 4.4 million euros per year is a big amount, enough to be able to really implement as much as in the first round 44 different ideas. And we really in this round the idea is that people can give their ideas first, then we will organize workshops for all the people that have given ideas, and then they can maybe combine their ideas if there are similar ideas. And then after those workshops, we will organize workshops where we will also have city employees with them to discuss about the ideas, in order to be sure that the costs won't be too high, or that is something that city can really make. Yes. I can see some comments from Elspeth. Great news, thanks. How hard to treat houses. Big obstacle to energy efficiency here. Yeah, retrofitting is so too expensive for many people. Yeah, the lack of knowledge, and people, the idea that people have that it's so expensive that it'll never pay the money back is the main obstacle. So that is something that kind of like an urban legend that we try to bust in this Energy Renaissance program.
In relation to the projects that people vote on, do they have to have a reduction of carbon emissions in them, or is it just to kind of make your life?
No. At this point, no. At this point, the main focus is really in the fact that what are the residents wanting city to do, or what do they need, and when going through those propositions from the first round, we did take a look of them together with UN SDGs, and we're able to make sure that they are in line with those. But the climate isn't the only theme in the participatory budgeting. It's mainly anything that the citizens want, and yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Oh.
We are told all the time that gas is very cheap, and the price of gas through the meter is cheap, but the whole system is not cheap when you have to replace the boiler. So I just missed some of those things about particularly participatory budgeting. In Scotland, we have a tremendous aspiration for lots of innovative things, and public authorities are encouraged, or something like this, to spend up to 5% of their capital spend through participatory budgeting. But they just, because of austerity, because Mrs. Thatcher said we must have a small state, we have no capacity. The staff are sacked. You know, they've gone. So it's really a big challenge to support. I've heard really positive experience in Paris, where maybe 38 million euros was disbursed, but several rounds where accumulation and alignment or concatenation of projects which were similar were brought together by officials and brokered, so that it was possible that new ideas that people are having in different parts are brought together. Very interesting. And also really, this is 4 years ago, very heartening about how citizens were voting for instance, better shelters for homeless people, even then, because of course it's a travesty, you know, that there are so many people on the streets, and so that the humanity was being able to be expressed. So your PB was not only on climate things, but it was on a holistic city development.
Well, yeah, in a way, the participatory budgeting is more broad, but the other things, the eco-sport activity, well, it thrives for more environmentally friendly activity, but the climate is nowadays very important role in that. But yeah, mainly about environmental issues. The budgeting is a bit different because people can propose anything. It can be a bench in a park, or it can be something that really has some potential for emission reduction. But yeah.
Is it possible you could share the link, and maybe it's, I don't know if it's in English, to the 147 actions, the action plan?
We can. Yeah, I can share the, just a moment. I can share the link for the actual action plan. That is also in English.
Thank you.
And then, but this Climate Watch, it's unfortunately still only in Finnish. But yeah, I found the link for the actual action plan, and I can. So, yes, you can now find it.
Do you find that gives a level of accountability, having the Helsinki Watch?
Well, yeah, I think the climate watch is well, yeah, it's something that we think that in a way it's good to be so transparent, because then there's pressure from outside too, that we have a lot of people going through that, how is the city of Helsinki progressing in its actions. And if we are not, there are actually people and groups that are sending messages to city experts asking that, okay, why isn't anything happening in this action? And I think that this kind of, in a way, peer support or peer pressure is very good for us. And I think this is something that Copenhagen has also done. They told everybody in the very early beginning that their goal is 2025, and their idea was to be very transparent and very open about the target, in order to get people asking, companies asking, residents asking that how are you doing, so that they at all time have the good pressure on doing things. Alison, you have your mic.
Sorry, again, I tried to be good. I think Bob's got a question and Phil's got a question, but I'm not sure how much time we've got. But yeah.
Where does Helsinki get its major sources of energy? Yeah, we well, the coal, like you saw from the video, if you saw the video, is the biggest, and mainly all the coal comes from abroad. We do use some gas from Russia as well, and also some oil, but the coal is our main energy source in Helsinki and our main problem. But the Finnish government made a new legislation that says that no one can burn coal in Finland after 2029. You saw the year on video as well. So the burning of coal will stop in the whole Finland by 2029. But yeah, at this time we are dependent on energy sources from abroad. And now you probably, I don't know if you have heard, but we have this Helsinki Energy Challenge, which is a 1 million euro challenge in order to answer the question that how can we heat the city of Helsinki in the future without any fossil fuels, but also without using too much biomass. So we don't just want to replace the coal by biomass, but we really want to find other ways to produce heat in Helsinki. So we have this Helsinki Energy Challenge, and I think it ended in the end of September, and now they are going through all the propositions and finding out who will be the 10 to 15 teams in the final, and then we will have some kind of boot camps for them. And I really hope that there will be some totally new ideas that nobody has thought before. I don't know if that's even possible, but I really hope, and I also see that there might be ideas that doesn't necessarily work for Helsinki because it's an international competition, but can then probably work for some other city. So I think that it'll give very important information to other cities as well, not just Helsinki.
That are you going to make it all visible so that any city can see the
Yes, we will. Yeah, we will share the outcome when it should be ready by, I think, March next year. Yeah. I will go through of these questions here in chat. Can you clarify, in the 4 million was government or EU grant funding? I wonder. No, it's the 4 million for the participatory budgeting is city money, so it's money from the city. So it doesn't come from the government or EU. It's our own money that we have decided to use and give, in a way, give for the residents to decide where to use it.
You mentioned March, Johanna, for when you, if we're to keep track of that, what are you're calling it, the energy challenge or the climate challenge? What's the...
I will send you a link for that as well. You can, and that page is only in English, so you can easily find all the information from there. So I will share you the link, in the chat.
Super.
Yeah, so it's called Helsinki Energy Challenge. Yeah, and it's a 1 million challenge. We can't, because it's a public money, the city money is public money, so we can't just give 1 million euros to someone. It's going to be some kind of public procurement that we will make when actually paying 1 million euros, and we don't yet know whether there will be one winning theme or whether the team that has the best idea is something that they only have the idea, or if they are a company that can actually sell us the technique, for example. So that is to be seen. Yeah.
So this is a heating challenge, but your electricity is also is high carbon at the moment. Are you looking to change that into a more traditional renewables approach, or?
Yes, we have this division that I work for. Although we aren't that big division, when there's only like 1,500 people working for the division and almost 40,000 for the whole city, but we are responsible for most of the buildings owned by the city, and we have already decided that we will buy renewable energy for the electricity. But the heating produces 53% of our carbon emissions, so that's why we have this very big challenge for the heating, because we see that is a very big challenge for us. Yes.
I'm conscious that with the curious financial situation where some national banks are talking about negative interest rates and so on to get the economy flowing, that it will be possible, maybe from the European Central Bank or whatever, to borrow funds at extremely low rates. How much does this factor in now, and the opportunity not to have private companies? You know, Mrs. Thatcher said everything has to be privatized in Britain, and everybody else has followed that. But the idea of actually having municipally owned or mutual organizations which are investing in these effectively monopoly services, utilities, essential services. What is the thinking? It's a big capital P political question, I realize.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm the right person to answer that. Yeah, I know the interest rates are minus at the moment, and we have been discussing about this a bit now after COVID-19, because a lot of companies, of course, and cities also in Finland are having problems with no customers or no. But I don't know if I can really answer that. I know that the city of Helsinki is probably one of the only cities in Finland that has been doing quite well before the COVID-19, so that we haven't, for example, laid off any of our staff. And we have decided that we won't, for example, stop investing. Next year, we will continue investing so that we will keep the economy running, or do everything that we can do for it. But then at the same time, we are And I think it for the city of Helsinki, the cities like city of Helsinki, it's probably quite easy even now to get loan from the banks. But yeah, I can't really answer the bigger question. But you had a great question.
Yeah, it's to do with public confidence, public willingness to have public services, really.
Yeah.
And maybe the pendulum has been swinging a long way to private is better and all that. But for monopoly services, this is maybe a challenge that comes at the same time as the need to decarbonize and to make this huge investment. So I'm so grateful for you coming in on the session. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Thank you. I think the time's up, so we probably have to get back.
Super. Okay. Ciao.
Nice talking to you. Bye-bye.